everybody, and welcome to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I thought what I will do today, as you may have guessed from the title of the video, is I thought I could give my thoughts on Zelda as a game. Now that I feel like I've completed the game, I haven't done every single side quest or every tiny little thing or seen every single thing in the game, but I've completed the game. I've done all 120 shrines, got all the divine beasts, got the real ending, as it were, done all the memories. So I thought I would chat about the game and give my thoughts on it. Now obviously this will contain spoilers, so if you are playing through the game or plan to in the future, don't spoil it for yourself, because it is a magnificent game. So come back and watch this another time. But if you probably have completed the game by now, if you got it when it came out, because it came out in March, and it's now July, August. It's July as I record this, probably be August by the time this goes up. So I thought I'd give my thoughts on the game now. I thought while I do that, we would go through and do the hero path mode. And you can kind of see how it all started, and as we go through, which is quite good fun, I think. And saves me having to worry about what's going on in the game as much anyway. So, before playing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I had played a bit of Wind Waker, which, yes, I am going to go back and finish. But other than that, I'd never played a Zelda game before. I was never a Nintendo person growing up, and so I guess I don't know. I just I always knew about the franchise, but I'd never got around to actually playing it or getting any games, or because most of the time I'd played on consoles like PlayStation or a PC or an Xbox 360, and Zelda didn't come out on any of those. So I never, it was never a thing, and I don't think Nintendo is as big in the UK as it is in other countries. I'm sure there are many fans out there, many more now than there was when I was growing up, but certainly I feel like we were more of a Sega sort of, PlayStation-y in the time I was growing up, or at least where I hang around was. I can't really compare Breath of the Wild to many other Zelda games and what it does differently, but what I can do, possibly give more of a unique perspective on the game as a whole of, let me just slow that down a little bit, as a whole, because I think I can kind of compare it to games in a similar vein to it. Games which I love, things like Skyrim and Witcher, open world type of games, and what they do and what Breath of the Wild does differently. And also, I'm not a person who would turn around and say, hey, this game is perfect in every way. It isn't, and I'd like to talk about some of that stuff as well. So the entire reason why I got the Switch was to play this game, because I'd seen the pictures and seen trailers for the game and was like, wow, this game looks great, and people were so hyped for it, and I was like, I really like the look of this game, because anybody who knows me knows I love exploration and discovery in video games. I love having somewhere I can just go and see something in distance and go, I'm going to go there, I'm going to discover what that is, or have points on a map and be like, let's go there, and then go there. And I love that in video games. I love that in things like Skyrim, where you might see a ruin in the distance and you're like, oh, I want to go there. Or in The Witcher 3, you might see something strange on a hill or something and be like, oh, I want to go there. So I love that in video games, 100%. And so it really spoke to me, I think. And then I saw it and went, this game is really pretty. Like, not in a case of, hey, the resolution is like 4K, or this is the next generation of graphics, but like this kind of art style, and it just looks amazing. And then there were reports coming out that it just ran really well on Switch as well, and I'm like, how can this run so well on what essentially is a handheld console? But it does. How can something look this good and run this well on a handheld console? And it does. So yeah, the opening moments for me in the game are just amazing. That run out of, the start area out into the kind of cliff edge as you overlook is probably going to go down, I think, as one of the most iconic scenes in video game history. It's probably been done before on a few different things, but I think the way that started, to just turn around and go, hey, there's the world, is incredible. And obviously you have the kind of like starting area, which you can't leave to begin with, which is kind of like your tutorial. You get your powers and all that, but then once that douchebag of an old man actually gives you his paraglider, because he lied to you, then that's it. You can go do what you want, and this map is huge, as you can see. It's huge. And one of the interesting things I think that this game does is it avoids some of the traps I think that you find with other open world games. So say, for example, something like The Witcher or Assassin's Creed, something like that, where they often feel the need to fill the map up with things to collect and things to see, and it ends up feeling very cluttered and stifling almost. People talk about The Witcher and the way that they kind of went into it and saw this huge world and were like, oh my god, this is just overpowering. You have something like Far Cry, for example, another open world game where there's all these little things on the map you can go do and see, and it's kind of good in a way because people want content, don't they? They always want content, bang for their buck. But it's not really true. It doesn't sometimes feel like a world, it feels like a video game, because you're going around and you're collecting little things as you go around and do that. Now, apart from the Koroks, and I guess to a lesser extent the shrines, although I'll come to them later, there's nothing to collect in Zelda. It's this world that exists, but almost what I feel like you collect sometimes is like the views, or the little things of, I've never had a game where I've wanted to climb a mountain just to look off the top of the mountain. Usually you're like, oh, I'm going to climb to the top of the mountain because there's some good loot there, or something like that. No, in Zelda I always feel like I'm climbing that mountain because I'm like, I want to see what's out there. I want to see if there's anything cool around, or see what's interesting. Maybe I can spot a shrine or something from a distance and pop it on there. And there's something really special about that, which I don't feel like any game has ever kind of captured, at least that I have ever played anyway, in the same way that Breath of the Wild does. The world, like the game is built around the world in a way. The main mechanic of the game, the kind of climbing mechanic, is not only, well, it's incredibly brave for a game to turn around and be like, hey, you can climb anything, because you can just potentially break everything. People who've played Morrowind will know levitation breaks the entire game, okay? And it's probably not meant to be used like that in the game, but climbing in Zelda is there for a reason, and everything is climbable. Well, to a certain extent, everything is climbable. And I feel like that is something that makes the game so special, because you have some semblance of climbing in games. Assassin's Creed would be, I guess, something where that was kind of built around the climb mechanic of getting up to the top of the rooftops and being able to look around. But I feel like Zelda is special in that the climbing kind of mechanic of it is what the game is about. You almost can't get away from it. And wanting to climb up those mountains and seeing these sheer drops and being like, oh, I'm going to have to climb up there or climb down there or paraglide down, it's just kind of, it makes it really special. I watched a documentary by a guy called Danny O'Dwyer. It's fantastic. It's called Danny's Disc Club, okay? Be careful how you say that, but he did, for episode 1 was on climbing and kind of spoke about this, so I won't go into it in too much detail, I guess. But yeah, the way the game is kind of built around the world and the climbing is very unique, and then they put all these kind of shrines around, although you don't know they're there, and that's what is also special, because most of the time in games you have a map, and something like Far Cry, as I I said, and you see everything on there, or you can buy things which show you bits in the area, or you go up a tower and it shows you everything. Well, you go up the Sheikah Towers in this, and it doesn't show you anything other than it unlocks the topography of the the area, and then you have to look for yourself to see. Oh, that looks interesting. I was doing shrine search the other day, and there's we can just see it here. There's a little crab island, and I didn't notice it before, but if I had done, I would have been like, definitely going to be something there. There's no way they'd put that in there without there being something there, you know. And yeah, I feel like that is great. And sometimes, like, I feel like games, they're afraid to kind of be themselves, and they feel like they have to do these things which all these other games have done. Like, they have to have these maps, they have to unlock these areas with towers and things like that. But I love the way Zelda just goes, okay, sure, you've unlocked the map with this. We're not going to tell you what anything is out there other than, you know, villages and stables. You have to find the shrines yourself. And then they're a kind of an amazing mechanic themselves, just the way the shrines are, because the way the game looks, especially say at night or during the day, is, you know, the orange of the shrines really just stands out, and when you see one you're like, oh, and you can just see it for what feels like miles away. You can just see it over on the hilltop or hidden in a mountain range somewhere, and it just, I think it makes you just feel something very special about that when you actually do see one. And how it is, I've got to just move my controller to take it out of the rest mode there. But yeah, so you know, it's cool, and I know a lot of people have said they've done the game in different ways. They've either gone around and done all the towers first, or, you know, they've worked from one to another, kind of similar to the way I did it, or, you know, they just went from one area to what looked like another area and then did all that, you know, wherever it took them. And I think that's like a really special way to do the game. I mean, the game, when you look at it from, like, just take a step back and look at it, it's so simple, okay? You're this guy, you go around, there's no like levelling up apart from the fact that you find a shrine. When you have 4 of them, you can choose to increase your heart, your stamina, weapon and equipment. It just has one kind of like stat on it, and that is attack or, you know, defense or armor defense. Like, it's you know, if this was actually an RPG that wasn't Zelda, people would probably be accusing it of dumbing down. But the simplicity of it is what makes it so beautiful, because you're there and you don't have to worry about, oh, you know, should I be using this gear or should I be using that gear? Everything's really simple, you know. Oh, what build should my character be? What class should he be? It's just like, no, go out there, run around the world, enjoy it. And that's what I love about the game, is just doing that. It's going around, you'll see, as you go through here on this hero map, look at all the areas I just go around to. And sure, sometimes I will use a shrine to teleport, you know, back to a house or do something like that, but it's quite rare. And generally I'm wandering around, searching around, and just looking at things, and dying a lot as well, because, you know, the game's quite difficult as well. That's the other thing about it. Simplicity doesn't have to mean easy. It can actually mean quite difficult, and the thing I quite like about this game is that it's really easy to pick up and play. You know, you have your like attack button, and then you hold it down to do a heavy attack. You have a block button, you have a jump button. That's kind of about it, really. But it's, you know, there are tactics to master, you know, things like the flurries and stuff like that, which you go around and learning to maybe deflect a guardian's beam and stuff like that. Just make the game, I think, it's just something really special about it, and not something I've really kind of done before. I mean, compare it to, say, The Witcher 3, a game which I adore. I generally adore it. Obviously, you can't really compare the stories, okay? Witcher 3 is a lot more complex, a lot more characters, a lot more going on, so I wouldn't compare them. But if you just look at the kind of base things of, like, you know, you have all the different armour for Geralt, you have his 2 swords, you have all the different skills and things like that, and I guess sometimes to some people that can be a bit overbearing. And obviously some people love that. In that game it suits it very well, but I love the simplicity that you get with Zelda. And it's all about just discovering this world and doing things. The other thing I really like about it is the quests. So you don't generally have big multi-part quests. The exceptions being maybe the Divine Beasts and something like Tarrytown. But what you do have is quests which make you think. Okay, so there's something like Skyrim people often get frustrated with because it's earlier on in the series they made things a lot more obtuse, and especially with Morrowind you had to actually go and work out where things were, and in Zelda it kind of brings it back to that. And another game I've been playing recently, Divinity Original Sin, does it as well, where it doesn't give you quest markers to say go to this area. It goes and says, you know, in the text or whatever, hey, you know, we're looking for somewhere like this. Do you know anywhere like this, you know, that you may need to go to? And then you might have to consult the map and be like, oh, this looks like it might be the area. And Zelda does that really well, where there's several quests where it's like, oh, you know, you need to go and look for this. It's probably around this region. And then you have to go and explore and discover and do things for yourself. And I love that, you know. There's no, like, the game would be horrible if it just turned around and went, okay, here's a quest marker, go there. Yeah, the only quest markers really are the ones for the Divine Beasts, but again, they're kind of a lot more complex than just go to this point. So yeah, I love that about it as well, and I think it encourages the exploration, because otherwise I think people would just go from point A to point B. This map wouldn't look like this; it would look like a lot of straight lines as I just go from one area to another. So yeah, it's good, and also I guess the variation in the different lands. You know, you have obviously your desert, you have your like snowy region, your grasslands, your tropical like places, your plains, your hot place and stuff like that. And it's nice in all of them. And I couldn't pick one that's my favourite because I think they did all of them so well. You know, that there's just something special about all the different areas and the different regions that you have, and the music in the game is fantastic, like top notch. You know, I love music soundtracks, and again, going back to something like The Witcher, which has a fantastic soundtrack, or Mass Effect, something like that, which I love. You know, they're really special games for me, which I really enjoy playing, and the soundtracks help towards that. And I think certainly in Zelda, the soundtrack is one of the stars. You know, whether or not you're just going along on your horse at night, you know, listening to the music, or you know, in the combat, or it's subtle, but it's there, and it's a lot more subtle, I think, than Wind Waker. Although I love the music in Wind Waker, but I kind of love it for that, because it doesn't want to take away, I think, from the beautiful like landscapes and the exploration. You know, nothing. The game doesn't want anything to kind of steal that glory that they have there, and yeah, it's amazing. You know, if I had to criticise some things in the game, I would say that the number one thing I would criticise would be voice acting. I know this might be weird. You might be saying, "Well, Zelda games don't have voice acting," but I feel like in 2017, there's not a lot of dialogue in this game from NPCs because there's not a huge amount of them, and I feel they should be voice acted. You know, I think realistically, again, this size, I can appreciate that maybe tradition is something, but having the cutscenes voice acted kind of feels strange when you go back to the main game. It feels unfinished in that respect to me, and I think a lot of games have been completely voice acted for a long time, and you know, for many years now, games have been completely voice acted, and I think that it's about time Zelda comes in and does that, because otherwise, you know, there's a worry it could get left behind almost. In that respect, I don't have any problems with the voice acting from the cutscenes. I know some people did, but I thought it was all good and it was fine. I just like to see that the NPCs were voice acted a little bit. I think that would have added a bit more to the game. The weapon system is not something that bothered me as much as other people. I've always been a person who, and again, this is something as I talked about, the game just does differently from games I love, like The Witcher or Skyrim, where you kind of get a weapon, you get attached to it, you know, and it's like it's yours, and maybe you level it up or you know, whatever, and you're like, oh, I got this really cool weapon. And in Zelda, you kind of have to put that to the side. Apart from the Master Sword, everything just breaks, so you can never get attached to it. But again, I feel like that's there to not take away from the beautiful view and the, you know, the sights of the game and things like that. And I think it actually works well in the game in the end. You know, it's kind of a leveling system in a way, because you know, you get weapons and then they break, and then you get better weapons and you go through. And I know that would be the same thing if you just had the weapons didn't break, but I do feel like sometimes it just adds a slightly more strategic measure to the game to do that. So I actually don't really have a problem with it too much. So yeah, other than that, I don't really have many more criticisms of the game in any way. I think you could argue and turn around and go like, oh, I'd like to see more multi-part quests like Tarry Town or something like that, but again, I feel like if you had more of things like that, it would take away from the exploration of the game as a whole in the area. I love the kind of horse system, the way that works. I love the powers that you get from the Divine Beast. They're good and useful, but not overpowered. You know, and they each have their uses. Some of them you use a lot, like Rivali's Gale. Some of them you hardly ever use, like Mytha's Grace, perhaps. And I love the kind of the Divine Beasts as a kind of a dungeon thing. I guess if I was to say, I would like to have seen a bit more of that kind of dungeony aspect to it. The shrines are fantastic. I love the little mini games that are involved in them, and I feel like the shortness of them is just right. Some of them are a little bit longer, and some of them are really short, but I never feel like I ever kind of wanted to kind of do more, if that makes sense. So I've done all 120. So, and like, I love the fact that they would actually go and just teleport, I think, to somewhere. Let's go down here. Shall we go down here, or kind of want to just avoid certain areas? I think we'll go around here. I feel like the game, yeah, the shrines are just the right length for me, and they're fantastic. You know, I wanted to go and seek out all 120. You know, when I finished the game, I had about 100, 101, and I really wanted to go and do the rest. And that's kind of cool. Not for the fact that they gave me more hearts. That's useful for the Master Trials, but just because I'm like, I want to see, you know, what they do and how they work and where these different ones are, and it's kind of fun to go and explore and find them. Now, I did use a guide for the sake of brevity, because I feel like I've probably spent maybe 90 hours in the game, but I feel like you could spend another 100 hours in the game and still have things left to do. You know, especially with the Korok seeds, which again, I love the little kind of quest of the Koroks. I have no want to go and find all 900 of them, but I can appreciate why someone might want to, for sure. They're fun, but just the way the shrines work, and I just think it's such a clever idea. You know, from what I know of Zelda games, generally there's a thing of like, okay, you go here, you get this power, you go here, you get this power, and I feel like they wanted to break that kind of that routine, as it were, and instead they went, okay, in the first area you get every power you're going to get. I'm just going to run past these guys, and then from then onwards there's nothing left. You've got everything, just go and explore. And again, I think it's about not wanting to take things away from the beautiful world that they crafted and made, and beautiful not only in the way it looks, because I mean, if you do look at it, it is stunning, but beautiful in just the way you know, everything just works together. And yeah, I've never really, it sounds so strange, but I've never really experienced a world with such sort of verticality like this. Say you get something like Far Cry, but Far Cry always has like set climb points, and everything is almost feels a bit scripted when you go higher. And same with the Elder Scrolls, you know, there's no climbing, so or Witcher, so you're following paths up. You know, this is just like, hey, I want to go up there. I'm just going to climb up, and go there, and yeah, it's really cool. It's one of the things I love the most in the game. But yeah, I think just seeing that is just what makes the game so special. And then obviously once you get to the top part of the thrill, it's just jumping off and just gliding away, which makes it so much fun to do. Okay, now graphically, this game really, I think, blows me away. Not almost from a technical aspect, as I said at the beginning, of like, hey, it's this resolution and we've got this many, you know, textures and this many things, but it's the ability of Nintendo to build something so beautiful from hardware which should not by any right be able to do this. Effectively, I'm playing this on a tablet right now. I mean, if you think about a Switch, a Nintendo Switch is, what, about £350, okay? If I went and brought an iPad, that would cost me about £500 or £600, okay? And I don't think an iPad is that much more powerful. Okay, sure, the Switch is optimised to do what it does, which is play video games. iPad does a lot of other things. But when you think about that, it's stunning, you know. Look at this, look at the draw distance on this. This puts some games to shame, I tell you, in terms of that. To absolute shame. It's just magnificent, you know, and even at night, you know, still being able to pick out details and see them. And sure, sometimes it gets a little bit framey in areas, and sure, it's not running at 60 or plus frames per second, and you know, it's only 720p or 10, and I'm not even sure it's 1080p when you play it on your TV, but you know, there's still something pretty special about it. The way it looks, you know, if I was doing a list of games which graphically blew me away, this would be on there, without a doubt. Not because, as I said, about kind of the performance that the Switch gets, but just because the art style is just something so special, you know. A lot of modern day games, big AAA games, I think often feel like they have to try and look as natural, you know, as real as possible, and they go on a lot about, you know, facial animations and textures, and it all looks great, it does, but you know, just the art style, the beautiful art style that you get in Zelda is out of this world. I think it reminds me almost of something like an indie game, which, you know, maybe I'm thinking of something like Transistor, or Child of Light, or something like that. Now obviously they're very different, and not like, you know, to take that kind of like beautiful, like almost hand-drawn quality and bring that to this huge world is pretty impressive for sure. Absolutely. Obviously, there's part of me which would be like, I'd love to see this run on PC, you know, at a higher resolution and, you know, higher frame rate, but also part of me is like, that's part of the charm of this, of a Nintendo game as well. And to be able to play it portably as well is so good. I mean, I haven't played a lot of it portably because I've been recording it, so I generally play it on my TV, or monitor, I should say. But I know, like, those of you who do play a lot of it portably, it's just, you know, so much fun. Like, hands down, probably the best, like, portable game you can play, I'd say. Probably one of the best games you can play, so I guess it goes hand in hand. But yeah, there's so many things in this game. It's just really special. You know, I haven't even spoken about things like the cooking aspect, which is really clever. You know, to do that instead of maybe going down a route of being like, oh, enemies drop health potions, pick them up, which we've seen a million times before. They wanted to do something different, I guess, and they did. You know, you have to cook your food, eat your food. It does different things. It's just really clever. I really, really like it. And I think oh god, I think it just makes the game that little bit more special, and also being like, there's nowhere, well, there are some places which tell you recipes, but otherwise it's like you work everything out for yourself. How do you think you would cook this thing in real life? Okay, put those ingredients in. You know, there's no lists anywhere. It doesn't tell you a list, or it doesn't allow you to just like quick select this meal or something like that. It's like, no, every time you want to cook something, you've got to cook something. And you know what? It doesn't get boring. I could say that after 90 hours. I've never got bored of cooking, which is crazy when you think about it. Because I get bored of like enchanting or alchemy in like the Elder Scrolls, because they just bring a charm to things which you just don't really see in those games, I guess. And I mean, it's each their own. If you're the sort of person who, okay, it's the Jaeger clan, the Jaeger douchebags. Guys, it's over. Okay, Ganon's dead. Spoilers. I told you there'd be spoilers. Still, how long will they chase me for, do you think? Okay, quite far. I'm gonna have to give him. Done. Yeah, I kind of love it, and just the little attentions to detail. Something the game reminds me of is Metal Gear, Phantom Pain. In Metal Gear, there are lots of little touches which are just make you like want to just tell other people about it. You know, I remember when the game came out, I was talking to my friend, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you know, you can hide in the portaloos." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know, but I had a guard like discover me in there." And he's like, "Oh no, what you can do is you can find this tape which plays somebody going to the toilet, and then they won't bother you." Hi, yeah, I saved your life. Don't worry about it. And then they won't bother you, because when they walk by the portaloo, you just play it, and then they think someone's in there. And I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. Seriously, what is this, Jaeger Central? I'm just gonna wreck this guy. Okay. Wrecked. Now I've got to choose a different weapon, haven't I? There you go. Maybe we won't get interrupted by any more of them. Wishful thinking, right? I actually want to climb up here as well to go back to the Great Plateau, but actually lost my train of thought now. Thanks a lot, Jaeger. God, Jaeger. Well, I like to say Jaeger because it's like Jaeger bombs, you know. No, sorry. Yeah, so I was talking about the little things, comparing it to the Phantom Pain, and yeah, you know, little things this game does. With you walk into a stable, and on the wall there's a poster for. Oh God, there's a bloody Korok. There's a poster for a recipe up there, and then you're like, oh, that's a recipe. I can just like, you know, find out what those ingredients are, and you know, get them. And you know, the little thing of like sneaking up on horses maybe, and jumping on them and having to calm them down to train them, and just little things which, oh my god, what is these guys' obsession? It's because I've got all the bananas, isn't it? I bet it is. Well, easy link. There we go. The Great Plateau where it all started. Yeah, and it's, you know, little things like that, which just make the game special, and just show the love and care and attention that people have. And maybe it's a Japanese thing, I don't know. To be fair, The Witcher has many moments like that as well, so I don't think it is. But I think what it is it's a developer who care a lot about the game they're making. You can tell that, and it just shows, it just shines through. And I hope that any budding kind of game developers play this game and look at it and go, okay, this, yeah, I can see what they've done here. You know, they've taken their time, they've done something special. See just these little balls here above where those goblins are. I mean, of course I'm going to go and push that down. You know, it's just fun. let's go. There we go. Oh no. Okay, well, actually, I'm gonna put him out of this misery. That's sad. But yeah, it's you know, just really special. The little attention to detail, the little touches. You know, even when it's like raining and it's overcast like this, it's just so stunning. You know, and then you get the lightning and like having to take your weapons, which are metallic, away and having to fight a different style, or just kind of things like that is really special. And then the other thing perhaps I would criticise the game for, actually, I've just remembered something, is enemy variation. It doesn't bother me a huge amount, but I would like to have seen some more like variation to enemies. So I mean, you basically have the big enemies like the Lionels, the Hinuxes, and the Ignis, and that's kind of it, I guess. And then you have your Bokoblins, your God, I can't remember what any of them are called now, but you know the ones, the Lizroses, the Bokoblins, Lizroses, and Moblins, and sure, you have your kind of blob things. I don't know what they're called, but that's generally about it, really. This, of course, is where you run out to begin with, and I feel sometimes like that. It might. I would like to have maybe seen a little bit more variation depending on what region you're on. I know you get like ones which are like ice ones or fire ones depending on where you are, but for me, I would like to have seen a little bit more variation in that. If you want to see an example of amazing variation of enemies, have a look at The Witcher 3. Enemies which you actually have to read about and think about the way you attack them differently and use different things on them. And I know, again, I'm talking about something which would make the game more complex, and I've spoken about the simplicity being the beauty, so I'm not saying I would change it. I'm just saying that there are games which I think do that really well, and I think The Witcher is definitely one of them. I better put my armour on. And just things like this where you have to just you have to wear your special armour, or if you don't have that, then you can cook some food and do all that type of thing. Really, really clever. Very clever. And yeah, overall, just a magnificent game. The Master Trials as well as DLC, I didn't think I would like it, but I actually I'm kind of in love with it now. The game can be very hard at some points, but the ability to just save whenever you want kind of takes away some of the challenge a little bit. I'm not saying I wouldn't want that, because as a person who makes videos on things, it's incredibly useful. But what I probably would prefer, well, I think the Master Trials, what they do really well is that sense of danger and that sense of thinking about what you have to do and planning things out. And certainly the sense of, the kind of adrenaline rush I get in that, I've never felt in the game, really. Maybe on a couple of bosses, or the first time I fought Lionel or something like that. Maybe so, but I feel like they do a good job, and I feel like if they actually turned, oh god, sorry, I didn't realise this was here. If they actually turned that into a like almost like a roguelike, where it just randomised the places each time you went through, I think I'd have a really good game. I would probably play that quite a bit, because it's just kind of a lot of fun. Hey guys. Never gets old. So yeah, it's cool, and yeah, little things like just the shield surfing. It's so cool, little things like that, which you're just like, they didn't need to add that to the game, but they did, and it's really super cool. So yeah, I don't think it's any shock to discover that I really like this game. I mean, I really like this game. I don't really like to say like, oh, that's my favourite game, or this is my favourite game, because games always do things differently, and that's what you always want. I would never want a world where this type of game is better than that type of game, all sorts, but yeah, certainly. Yeah, this is the type of game where if someone said to me, hey, you can only play 5 games again for the rest of your life, I think I'd probably pick this one up as one of them, because there's just something really special about it, and I feel like it is going to have kind of a timeless quality because of the art style and the way that works. I'm sure in a 5-6 years time we'll see a, I don't know, 8K version. We like the 8K remaster, in the same way that Wind Waker and Twilight Princess have had their HD remakes, and I'll be incredibly excited for that, I'm sure, at the time, to play on my 140-inch 8K TV on my I don't know what, but you know what I'm saying. But I feel like I could go and play this game again in 10 years' time and probably still feel the same way about it, and not necessarily from a nostalgia point of view, but from a I just really love this game point of view. Hey guys, there's a dragon coming this way, and I just love things like this, like the majesty of just things, coming through. It's just something. It's amazing. I love these bokoblins on their horses. It's so clever. Also, this guy see me. God. Okay, Sonny, you're gonna regret this, I'm afraid. I told you would regret this. Sorry, horse, you'll be fine. Where'd that dragon go? Oh, he's over there. He kind of turned around. But yeah, I just feel like the game itself. There are so many games that could learn a lot from this. I think something like Assassin's Creed or something like that. Like, there's no need to fill up the world with all these collectibles and all these different things to do, and have all these big, long, convoluted quest lines and things like that. Keep it simple, Okay, we're gonna have to switch to something that's not gonna. Have I even got any? Yeah, I've got some Guardian stuff. Yeah, and just, kind of keep it simple on things and let the world you've built do the talking for you, It's just something special, I gotta say. It's probably one of the only games that I've actually wanted to go back and play through on, like, hard mode. I've never really wanted to, but I genuinely feel like I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do that right away. Might be something I do next year. Maybe be something I stream. But it's something which I feel like I want to do because, I don't know, it's a game which I want to be good at, if that makes sense. There's games where I'm like, I wish I was good at that game, but I don't really want to put the hours into it. Hearthstone, FIFA. I don't want it to take over my life, but I'm like, yeah, I'd be quite happy to, play through Zelda on hard mode and die a lot and learn from it and be better at it, and for no real reason other than the game is just magnificent. So yeah, I'm sure if you've probably played through the game, you probably thought it was pretty good yourself. I've not met anybody who has played through this and been like, wasn't for me. Didn't think it was that good. And not to say there aren't people out there. There've been many games which everyone thinks is great, and I don't particularly like very much. Overwatch being an example. So I don't blame people, and there'll be a lot of people who would just, I guess, flat out never play this because they're just never going to get a Nintendo. And I do feel that is kind of sad. Like, I would love to see this get a multi-platform release. I think Nintendo could easily, say in a year's time, sign a deal with PlayStation and get this on, for God's sake, Jaeger, and get this on the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 4 Pro or PlayStation 5 or whatever the hell you want to call it. Because I want more people to play through this game, because the expectation level of games, I think, goes up with a game like this. you know, and I think it pushes, like, every time a great game's released, it just pushes, you know, what video games are capable of forward. You know, sure, you see clones of things. I'm sure we'll see clones of Breath of the Wild come out, but sometimes those clones actually, you know, take an idea and then improve upon it. Every great work of art out there, you know, has taken its inspiration from another piece of art. You know, there's no kind of art, I guess, apart from the, I don't know, the early cave paintings or whatever, which, you know, are wholly original. Everything builds upon things, and I feel like in the games industry there's a lot of building upon in games, and this of course is, you know, the pinnacle of Nintendo's games. They've you know, they've okay. It's a Korok puzzle. Hey, Rock. Can we use you and pop you here? Can. Yeah, they've obviously made a great many Zeldas over the years. A great many other open worldy kind of games, or at least third person kind of games like Mario games and things like that. And every kind of bit of experience, and I think that's what makes Nintendo quite a special games company, is the fact that, you know, the people working on this Zelda are the same people who have worked on the first Zelda back on the NES. You just don't get that nowadays. Japanese companies are special and rare, and should be kind of supported, I think, because how many times do we see where, you know, there are some exceptions in the world, but how many times you see like somebody from a studio make a game and then they'll leave, you know, particularly in a Western studio, and then they'll leave and they'll maybe go and form their own studio or do something else. You know, we've just seen Casey Hudson rejoin BioWare. You know, he left. He was responsible for, not wholly responsible, but certainly in charge during a lot of their great times. I'm very happy to see him go back there. But you know, it's pretty rare. You know, I guess Ken Levine with the Bioshock series is another one. But again, these are probably over like 10 years, whereas like Zelda is maybe like 30, 40 years. Some of these guys have worked for Nintendo for. And I guess that kind of inspiration, and maybe also that safe setting, is what, you know, that job security is what allows them to just create something as special as this game. And, you know, I applaud them for it, and I will happily support them with my money. So yeah, I guess that kind of brings an end to my, I guess, ramble about Breath of the Wild. I did one kind of like midway through, but I feel like I haven't completed the game. And I like the ending, by the way. The ending was good. Endings in games of this size and scope never quite, I'd say, live up to perhaps what you would like them to. And that's, I'm not saying that as a bad thing, by the way. I liked the ending. I thought it was pretty cool. But an ending, it's never about the ending. It's always about the journey. It's never about, you know, being at point A and then getting to point B. It's about point A to Z and then B, C, D, E, F all along the way. And that's what I love about video games. But yeah, so till next time, guys, thank you for watching this. I'll be back with Zelda to do the next DLC. But other than that, that'll probably be it for a while, having done everything I wanted to do so far. So till then, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.